You love these people so much. You can mourn for them. Don't do this! Stop! Never.
Nope. 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 Hi guys, this is Mario Francisco Robles, MFR here, El Fanboy. I woke up this morning. Today is what? Today is March 6th, 2017. Woke up today thinking about the Man of Steel ending. And here we are, that was almost 4 years ago. And I still think about that from time to time. And real quick, it is kind of funny that people love to call me a Marvel fanboy or an anti-DC guy because I'm so hard on DC movies, when obviously that couldn't be further from the truth, because the fact of the matter is I watch most Marvel movies. I enjoy them moderately for some time. I enjoy certain key moments in certain movies, and then I don't think about them again. DC movies, I stay up late at night thinking about, and I wake up early in the morning thinking about them, because they actually mean something to me. So, yeah, last night something interesting happened. I was heading home from work, and I got the strangest craving. I actually got a craving to see Man of Steel. I was in the mood. I was like thinking, maybe if it's on HBO Go or on demand or whatever, I'll watch it tonight. I didn't end up watching it. Other things came up, but you know, there was an actual craving there for it, because that's the interesting thing about that movie. While I generally have a negative opinion of it, because the things that I hated about it, I really hated, there was also a lot in there that I really did enjoy. And for me, the whole thing really didn't fall apart until, I would say, the final almost 40 minutes. During the final 40 minutes, that's when, for me, all of the goodwill that the film had garnered from me for the first hour and a half just kind of went to hell. And it all, a lot of it centers on that, because the final battle. Sorry, I'm sort of yammering a little bit. This was all sort of thrown together, by the way. I wasn't planning on making this video. I wasn't planning on recording this. Look, I'm not even wearing my shirt and tie. I didn't get ready for this. I didn't do the dishes. You see, I usually make sure that area right over there is clean. So you guys think I'm somewhat of a, decent human being. I'm not. So anyway, I just kind of threw this together, and I just wanted to share this with you. So the ending, what throws me off about the ending is that it's so sort of heartless and cold, and there's not enough actual Superman heroism in it. It's a lot of punching, a lot of exploding, a lot of Henry Cavill looking very stoic and badass, but there's no real sense that he's worried about the people around him, that he's concerned at all about collateral damage, or that he's doing everything he can to not kill Zod and to minimize the damage. And to me, that sort of stuff is very important. When you're having a battle basically between two demigods, the other stuff has to be present. There have to be other stakes. There have to be other vulnerable, weak points. Things that you're worried about. Is that going to be okay? Are these survivors going to be okay? Is Superman going to survive this? How is he going to deal with Zod? Otherwise, it's just two big, powerful dudes punching each other. And for me, that's really all that whole sequence was. There really was not enough of the powerful human stakes outside of that. So with regard to this ending, now I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to shock some of you. Longtime readers will know this, but for those of you who are just getting to know me, even though I'm a Superman loyalist, and he's my life. No, I'm kidding. But even though Superman's my dude, I actually had no problem with him killing Zod. A little funny story about that, real quick. I didn't even know that it was controversial. Like when I was heading to the theater, someone had mentioned to me, "Oh, dude, you're gonna have a problem with the ending. Oh, wait till you see the ending." And they didn't spoil it for me. They just mentioned something was up with the ending. So I saw the movie, and I had my opinions about the movie, whatever. And I'm heading down on the escalator, actually with Scully, for those of you who follow. And I'm coming down the escalator at the 42nd Street AMC Theater. And I remember actually having this conversation with him going, "So, dude, what was the issue with the ending that people were trying to warn me about and warn us about?" And he's like, "I think people were upset that he killed Zod." And my God's honest response was, "Really? Wow. Is it because he's like a demigod and it must be like snapping his neck is a weird way to kill him?" And we kind of had a whole conversation about maybe it was the logistics of the kill that people didn't like. So that I'm just bringing that up just to prove a point that like I'm not one of these people who says Superman never kills and he's not allowed to kill, or that filmmakers are not allowed to adapt him in a particular way. I'm not like one of those people who says he has to behave a certain way. So let's get that out of the way right off the bat. I have no problem with him killing Zod. It didn't faze me when I saw it. I didn't even know it was a problem when I saw it. My issue was how they built to it. My issue was there wasn't enough drama to the situation, and I really didn't buy it. It didn't feel earned. So for me, it just felt somewhat anticlimactic. I'm about to read for you some comments from comic book writer Mark Waid, who perfectly summarizes how I felt about that. I should preface this by saying that Mark Waid is one of those people who thinks that Superman should never kill. He's really adamant about the fact that Superman does not kill. So that's where he and I are a little bit different, but on this next part is where we are exactly alike. He says, "I realized that it wasn't so much my uncompromising vision of Superman that made this a total fail moment for me. It was the failed lead up to the moment. As Superman's having his one-on-one battle with Zod, show me that he's going out of his way to save people from getting caught in the middle. Show me that trying to simultaneously protect humans and beat Zod is achingly costing Superman the fight. Build to that moment of the hard choice. Show me, without doubt, that Superman has no other out, and do a better job of convincing me that it's a hard decision to make, and maybe I'll give it to you." And that's really kind of it for me too. To me, there was no build to it. There was no sense that he was doing everything he could to not kill Zod. All I saw was the two of them beating the hell out of each other. And then now he just decides to snap his neck. It just sort of came out of nowhere. Especially because in that moment, the way it was staged, he didn't really have to kill him per se. All he had to do was cover his eyes with his forearm and fly upward and drag him the hell out of there. For him to just be saying, "No, stop, no," instead of like actually doing something about it, it just felt phony. It felt contrived. It didn't feel earned. It didn't feel like, well, why are you pleading with him? Just cover his eyes and fly him away from there. So it wasn't so much that he killed him, it's the way they built up to it. And if you think about it, the real sad part is they had all the elements there to make it more dramatic, because they'd already established a few key things that would have made the sequence so much more dramatic, so much more riveting, and so much more emotional. So you've got Zod, who's just getting his powers, right? He doesn't really have full control of them yet. He's not as powerful as Kal-El. And then you have Kal-El, who's, super powered. He's been soaking up the Earth's sun for 30 years, and he's in full control of his stuff. Remember, Zod can't even control his vision. Remember when they break the helmet, he has trouble. So you have Zod in a somewhat weakened state. You have Kal-El at full power. You have Zod, the master warrior, general, and tactician. So what should he do? He should have the strategy of, well, I can't go toe-to-toe with Kal-El, so I need to hurt him some other way. He loves these humans so much. He loves these puny mortals so much. So what I'll do is I will distract him. I will harm them. I will start fires. I will knock down buildings. I will do things that keep him preoccupied while I run out the clock and get more and more powerful, so that soon I'll be able to go toe-to-toe with him. It would make General Zod seem that much smarter and that much of a brilliant strategist. And it would also give us a chance to see some pretty epic, cool superhero stuff, where Zod's going around starting shit and Superman is flying around saving people, blowing out fires, pulling people out of rubble. So you'd get to see all of that awesome comic book imagery of Superman saving lives and being an all-out superhero, while Zod is running around basically trying to destroy Metropolis bit by bit. So that by the time they finally get their hands on each other, Superman is spent and he realizes, Jesus Christ, this guy is only going to get stronger. This guy is going to become unstoppable very soon. And if I don't stop him, people are going to die. I have to kill this guy. And you put Superman in this terrible predicament where he has no choice but to do this. And along the way, he's trying to convince him, Zod, this is not the way. Zod, you don't have to do this. You could build... I'm getting goosebumps now. I have literal goosebumps. Because you could have made it so much more dramatic. You could have had all that action. You could have even thrown in all that disaster porn that Zack Snyder seemed hell-bent on putting in there. But you could have added real emotional stakes to it. So that by the time he actually kills Zod, it's a heartbreaking, tragic moment. He just killed his final connection to his home world. I mean, that should be amazing. That should be a devastating, dramatic blow. And for me, and for Mark Waid, and I assume for many other people, it just sort of fell flat. It just didn't feel right. And I always go back to that. It would have been so much more epic and more heroic to see him actually doing everything he can to save people and stop Zod without killing him. And then ultimately having to make that horrible decision to kill him. Instead, I mean, what do we get? We get that shot, just like a perfect little freeze frame of that, of everything that was wrong with that sequence, was Zod kicks a fuel tank towards Superman. And he just sort of nonchalantly leapfrogs over it. And the fuel thing goes into a parking garage, blows it up, and cars start flying out, and the two of them are basically having a boxing match as cars fall on top of them. Meanwhile, if you look around in the background, there are civilians running around. There are innocent people running around right there. Why would Superman... why would Superman have just leapt over it and just, all right, I'm just going to stoically beat the hell out of you now? He would have tried to stop that explosion from happening. There are people right here. There's people across the street. There's people hiding behind cars. There's people ducking behind things. Superman should never have allowed the garage to explode and let all those cars raining. He should have been concerned about that. So for those of you who are wondering, like, this whole thing about collateral damage, like, that moment right there is emblematic of everything that was wrong with the depiction of Superman in those closing minutes. He didn't care. He was just Mr. Stoic, badass superhero guy. And that entire time I'm just looking at it going, oh, so Zack Snyder just wanted the cool visual of General Zod and Superman beating the hell out of each other as cars rain down from the sky. Zack Snyder thought that would be cool. He didn't care that it's a total sort of betrayal of what should be happening. He just thought it would look cool. And that's really the whole thing. And Superman, in the middle of the rubble with ashes flying around, where he looks like he's in the middle of the 9/11 downed World Trade Center. He's kissing Lois and making a joke about kissing a human versus kissing an alien. Like, it was just, he was so detached from the carnage around him. That's what really made that whole sequence such a fucking chore to watch. So, between the cavalier attitude towards the destruction and between the lack of dramatic build-up to him killing Zod, that whole first 40 minutes, the whole final 40 minutes of that movie for me were just like, it was soul-crushing to watch that. And it's really a shame, because I did like the first 90 minutes of the movie. I loved the Krypton sequences. I enjoyed a lot of the Smallville stuff. I really did. And there was a great deal about that movie that I thought, you know what? They are heading in the right direction here. This is going to be really good. And then it just came off the rails once the final battle came. And it just goes to show you, too, the final battle, a lot of it is not necessarily in a script. When you're reading a script, there's some stage directions and all that sort of stuff. But the person responsible for that is the director, not the writer, because the director decides how the action goes, And it goes to show you that the script that was written by Jonathan Nolan and David S. Goyer and was overseen by Christopher Nolan, that was a great part of what made the first hour and a half of that movie so good. They put together a pretty dynamite script. Then, when we get to that final sequence, which is Zack Snyder's area, where he got the most creative input on how things go, that's where the movie came off the rails. So it kind of goes to show you, like, which of the creative forces here is really responsible for what Man of Steel ultimately was. Well, it's a tale of two movies. The first 90 minutes, which stick to the script written by Nolan, Goyer, and Nolan, are pretty damn awesome. The final 40 minutes, which is where Zack Snyder said, okay, now I get to just blow a bunch of shit up, that's where the movie loses its heart, it loses its way, and just becomes a bunch of random nonsense. And then people wonder why I don't really care for Zack Snyder. And then Batman v Superman, there was no Nolan input, it was just pretty much Snyder and Goyer calling the shots, with an outside writer, Chris Terrio, coming in. So they literally lost all the things that made the first parts of Man of Steel so interesting, and just went into the uber stylized area. And I keep going back to it, but it's such a shame. I hear Seb coming, so before I get to I don't even know if I should cut this part out. Seb, come here. Say hi. This is Sebastian, everybody. He's very patient as Daddy does his podcasting and his videos. You have some graham cracker on your face, mijo. You want to say hi? Hi. Say Superman. Yeah, Superman. Can Daddy finish his video?
Yeah.
Okay, so you take this, and I'll be right over there in just a couple minutes, okay? We're going to go see Abuela today. Let's go. I'll see you in a few. Sorry about that, but so what I was getting to, though, is a lot of the elements were there. A lot of the elements for a Dynamite Superman movie were there, and you can see that in trailer 3 for the movie. I've mentioned this a million times on the original podcast you know me from, on my podcast. Actually, not even yet. We're only 3 episodes into that. I haven't mentioned it yet, but for this one, I'll let you know. Trailer 3 rocked my world. Trailer 3 for me had everything that a Superman movie should be. And that shows me that this movie had the potential. It had all the elements there. But they emphasized the wrong parts and de-emphasized the right parts. And that's why you get a movie that ultimately, for a lot of Superman fans, was just kind of like, oof, you guys missed the boat.
Goodbye, my son. Our hopes and dreams travel with you.
He'll be an outcast. I'll kill him.
How? be a god to them. What if a child dreamed of becoming something other than what society had intended? What if a child aspired to something greater?
My son was in the bus. He saw what Clark did.
You're the answer, son. You're the answer to are we alone in the universe?
Can I just keep pretending I'm your son?
You are my son. And I have to believe that you were sent here for a reason. And even if it takes the rest of your life, you owe it to yourself to find out what that reason is.
How do you find someone who has spent a lifetime covering his tracks? For some, he was a guardian angel. For others, a ghost who never quite fit in.
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards.
Where was that during the movie?
I will race behind you. I will stumble. I will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
You believe your son is safe? I will find him!
My father believed if the world found out where Willie was, they'd reject me. He was convinced that the world wasn't ready. What do you think?
What's the S stand for?
It's not S. In my world, it means hope.
Well, here it's an S. How about C?
Excuse me.
That trailer was everything that the movie wasn't. It was epic. It was emotional. It was thought-provoking. It had a heart. It was just whoever edited that trailer. If only they had edited this movie, or if they could have reined Snyder in, because that trailer showed everything that Man of Steel could have been, and Man of Steel only partially lived up to that potential. But okay, that concludes my my random 4-year-old rant on Man of Steel. Thanks for watching.